Today on Run with Horses, I'm joined by my daughter Chloe, a singer-songwriter who we haven't heard from in a while. My name is Norman, and my goal is to help you run your race well, not just surviving, but thriving as a disciple of Jesus. There are a lot of things that you could do with your life, but I don't think anything compares with following Jesus and joining Him on His mission of bringing hope to the nations. So thank you for including me on your journey. Well, as I mentioned today, Chloe is with me again. So back in the old days, probably almost 2 years ago now, when I first started doing some of these, Chloe would do a Chloe's Corner song. So now before she goes off to college, she's back and we're going to talk about where she is in life and songwriting and what the next steps are. But to get started, I think she has a song for us.
Yeah, so the song I'm going to sing is one that I wrote last year when my brother was learning how to drive. And he and Dad went out to go practice driving, and they were gone for like 2 hours. And I just started to really worry about whether or not they were going to come back. So I wrote this song about what if they don't come back? Can I trust that God will take care of them, that He has everything in His hands? So this is called When They Don't. Watched them go out the door, didn't even think to say goodbye. Thought they'd be right back in, just like every other time. But hours tick by, clock burns a hole through my eyes into my soul. Worry builds mental headstones. Why, oh why did they forget the phone? God, I trust you with my life. Trust that you'll be by my side. Why can't I trust them with you? Trust they're held in your hands too. God, I want to have the faith. Help me to be unafraid. Give me strength so I can see you do what is best for me. If I can trust you when they come home, Lord, help me trust you when they don't. Thought that I'd prepared myself for if they never returned. But when the phone call finally came, wasn't ready for what I learned. But hour by hour and day by day, God was with me all the way. Through the tears and through the pain, He always remained the same. God, I trust you with my life. Trust that you'll be by my side. Why can't I trust them with you? Trust they're held in your hands too. God, I want to have the faith. Help me to be unafraid. Give me strength so I can see you do what is best for me. God, I trust you with my life. Trust that you'll be by my side. Why can't I trust them with you? Trust they're held in your hands too. God, I want to have the faith. Help me to be unafraid. Give me strength so I can see you do what is best for me. If I can trust you when they come home, Lord, help me trust you when they don't. If I can trust you when they come home, help me trust you when they don't.
Cool, very interesting song. I remember that day and what happened. So what I learned from that experience is that when Iowa says a minimal maintenance road, they mean if it has rained in the last week, even a few drops, you probably shouldn't drive on it. Cameron drove us off the pavement onto a road where he just sunk down, it seemed like to the axles almost instantly. And I don't think either of us were expecting that. I had been on low maintenance road, or what I would consider minimal maintenance roads in other parts of the country. And what they mean is it doesn't get scraped very often. There might be big potholes. None of them meant they were impassable during certain times of the year. So that was a new one for us. So we ended up having to walk for a good over a mile to get to a farmer's house who was home, and came with a big tractor and pulled us out and made fun of us. So it was a good experience for both of us. But we did get to see an owl sitting on a branch as we walked along and had a good talk. So it was a good experience. But yeah, I forgot the phone, and a good song came out of it. So there you go.
First 3 lines of it were written when I didn't know if you guys were coming back or not. And then as I was writing or thinking about the 4th line, I think I heard the door open. I was like, they got back. So
Very good. So you are embarking on a summer of concerts. I think you've had 3 already. Mm-hmm. And you have 8 or 9 more to go?
Yeah. The number technically keeps fluctuating because people are like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And another person is like, well, I might have one more for you, but I haven't confirmed yet. So I think I have a total of 12.
Okay. And so you're doing, if I understand right, a combination of home concerts, house concerts, whatever you call those, and concerts in churches.
Yeah.
And you don't have any in community centers or anything like that.
I don't think so.
There were
Actually,
some talked about, but didn't go through.
I just found out one of the ladies, I thought I was going to do it at her house, but they're doing it at an open air, some sort of market thing. Maybe not a market. I didn't quite understand what she said, but it was some outdoors amphitheater type place. So.
Okay. How has it gone so far?
It's been good. I've gotten a lot of positive reactions, and I'm still getting really nervous beforehand every time, but I can tell that the more I do it, the more comfortable I'll get with it, and it'll be easier by the end of the summer, I'm sure.
Okay. You are, I guess first, let's step back, because it's been a while since you were on and talked to people. So you're working on being a singer-songwriter. You've written a lot of songs and you're singing, so I suppose that makes you a singer-songwriter. Right now, understanding that it may fluctuate, but what are you looking at doing with your future and going forward now?
Well, following the summer of concerts, I have about 2 years at Faith Baptist Bible College in Iowa. And once I graduate, everything is kind of up in the air. I am tentatively planning to go back to Japan and do 6 months to a year. I'd love to do an internship in Tokyo with some of the people. There's people doing a church plant and different opportunities there. So I'd like to do that. I don't know if that's possible yet. I haven't talked to anybody about it, but I'd like to do something like that. And then following that, I really have no clue. I'd like to do stuff with music in Japan. There's not really a good network of Christian music. Christian music is just really hard to find in Japan, and I'd like to get there's songwriters in Japan and there's singers, but they don't always talk to each other. So if I can get some sort of network where people can talk to each other and be like, hey, I wrote this song, it's a Christian song, but I can't sing it. I can't sing. So, hey, can you sing it? And do something like that. Maybe get songs on the radio would be awesome too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a lot of Christian radio in Japan, but I have heard that there are occasional Christian groups that make it to a level where they have songs on standard stations and things like that. But yeah, that's definitely something that's needed in Japan, is more use of Christians' creative abilities.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking, like, in America, a lot of people, they can just turn on the radio, or they can buy music or stream music from their Christian artists, just not congregational music or anything, just like, hey, I want to listen to music. And there's not a lot of Christian alternatives to music in Japan. So just giving something that people can listen to that's not going to turn them away from the Lord.
Yeah, something that's uplifting and encouraging, good. You have your busyness of the summer. What are your concerns about the summer? What are you excited about? How are you approaching this next few weeks of mostly being on the road and traveling and touring?
Well, I'm really nervous about the driving because I haven't driven very much in the States, and my brother's going with me, who technically learned how to drive and got his license last summer, but I don't really trust him, so that should be interesting. But I'm also just not used to like simple things like getting gas and going shopping and having to do things in the States. I could do all this stuff in Japan, but it's just enough different here that it's difficult.
Yeah, it's sometimes uncomfortable even for me when things are different enough that you're not quite sure. You think you know how it works, but you're not quite sure.
Yeah, like I was telling my sister, even though stuff is in English, it's still hard to understand, but at least it's in English.
Yeah. So what do you look forward to for the year, for the summer?
Well, I'm looking forward to, I'm staying with a lot of different people that I've met before, but haven't gotten to spend a whole lot of time with. So a couple families that we're staying with that I'm looking forward to getting to talk to. And also excited because, one lady just told me that she has 30 people that RSVP'd to her concert, which is exciting. And I think most of these people were people I've never met and have really no connection to me, just connection to this other lady. Mm-hmm. So that will be, I think, one of my first concerts. That's actually this Friday. So one of my first concerts where it's not like a church where people have known me all of you guys' life, all of my life, basically. So yeah, I'm excited about meeting new people and learning and growing through that.
So do you know when your next album is coming out?
As soon as possible. I have all of the songs recorded. They just need a little bit of mixing. And then I'm hoping to get it sent out today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, if I can get everything done, which would mean it could be up to a month. It depends. Some platforms take a little longer to put them up than others. At least 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Probably more like a month.
Okay. And one of the things I know we've talked about and you've been working on is recording at least most of your concerts this summer, if not all of them, and doing a live album. Do you have any idea when that might be done? How quickly after the summer ends would you be able to get something like that?
That would depend. I've never done that before, so it could be really quick after the summer because I'll just have to figure out which songs are good and then chop them because they're all recorded together. So find out which songs they are and then figure out how to separate those.
Yeah. It'd be kind of cool to have a live album.
Yeah. Feel like a real artist.
And so once your tour ends in August, what's your next step?
Tour ends in August, and then I think we hang out in Iowa for a couple days before orientation starts. And then I think Mom will come down and help me settle into my dorm.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. I have some stuff I haven't bought yet for it, so she thinks she's going to help me. I have to buy just different sheets than normal. I don't know, they're extra long or something, and I don't know. But yeah, and then I'll just start college. Continue, but start campus college.
Start in-person learning.
Yeah, I've been doing online for the last 2 years, so.
Okay, well, I talked to Cameron, and one of the questions I asked him, I want to ask you too, because all of us have been in this same state for the last for a full year now, where we had furlough, so we're unsettled and traveling around, and then we thought we were going back to Japan in we did go back to Japan in January, and then we came back in 2 shifts in March and then in June. So we've had this prolonged period of being unsettled and not really homeless, but almost. So my question is, what are the things that you've learned either that have contributed to your spiritual life or that you learned about yourself or some of both? What are the lessons that God has taught you during this time?
Well, I found out that, I was putting a lot more emphasis on, where my home was than it should have been. Having to leave my home in Japan and having you guys leave Japan felt like, okay, my anchor is gone. And then I was thinking, that's not where my anchor needs to be. My anchor doesn't need to be, my parents are safe at home in Japan. It should be in God. And then with all this traveling and stuff, it's been easier to be like, okay, I don't have to be settled to have a peaceful life. And, it's a different type of peace. It's not like I'm settled, everything is the same every day type of peace. It's like I can continue. Although I am getting a little tired of bouncing around. I don't have any shelves in my room right now, that are mine, because it's Melody's room. So I would like shelves.
Maybe you'll have some in college.
I should.
So how are you going to take these lessons forward as you go to college and into the future? How are you going to maintain a settled spirit in the midst of, usually college is not super settled for most people.
Well, it will be to me compared to everything else. But yeah, just reminding myself, hey, where's my focus right now? What am I? A lot of times I can tell because I'm if I lost this right now, what would that do to me? And there's usually one thing in my life that's I cannot lose this. And if it's the wrong thing, that's a sign to me. Before, it's hey, if you guys leave Japan, my whole life would be torn apart into pieces, But that's not good. That's not. And then I got over that, It's okay, it's all right. It's not like you guys aren't in ministry. Mm. It's it kind of felt like your whole career shifted, and it really didn't. And that also was good for me too. It's hey, no matter where you are, you don't have to stop following God just because you're not in your mission field. Your mission field can be wherever you are. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of a realization that I didn't have before. I was kind of oh, well, Japan is where we're supposed to be. That's where we're following God. When we're back in America, we're kind of on vacation. I don't know.
I don't think I ever felt that way.
Well, vacation from ministry stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I ever felt that way.
Well, you were reporting and stuff. I didn't have to do that.
You were on vacation. I was working.
Yes, I was on vacation.
Yeah, that is true. It's an important lesson to recognize that God doesn't ever remove you from the mission field.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't see it that way. And I even heard a missionary when we were on pre-field. So we were getting ready to go to Japan. And early on, God had helped me and Susan, Mom, to think about this time. We don't know how long it's going to be. And we're traveling to different churches, and we're sharing how God has worked in our life to get us here. We're also sharing there's a great need in Japan. But a third part of that was sharing that there are opportunities for this church to grow and serve God. We have something God has taught us that maybe will benefit you where you are. So we were really challenged to serve each church, not to go and say, hey, what can this church do for us, but to show up and say, how can we serve this church while we're here? And because of that, we really enjoyed Pre-Field. We got to meet new people week after week. I don't know how many times I got to talk to a high schooler or a college kid or somebody that was, in their 20s or 30s that is considering ministry or looking at what that means in their life, and we're able to encourage them along the way and challenge them to use their gifts and keep growing and answer questions. So we really felt like this is worthwhile. If it didn't matter how long it takes, we could do this forever, and this is valuable. So we were never beat down and depressed by how long it was taking us, because it took us 4.5 years. And we were ready to go whenever God finished that process, but we were ready to stay as long as it took. So when we went to Japan, it's not like, okay, now we start ministry. We had been doing it. It changed a little bit. And for the first part, our ministry became learning language and then culture and all those things. So coming back to me was very similar. This time, we didn't leave the mission field. We came back to a different kind of ministry. It's a different language, it's a different culture, and I do have to learn things about the culture here because it's not the culture I left 20 years ago. But the language I'm mostly familiar with, there are new slang terms, but I've heard a few of those recently. It's like, okay, I don't know what that means. But the people are where the ministry is. So there are people always around you who you have an opportunity to invest in and encourage and reach out to. So that doesn't change. So if we can all grasp that your location may change, but the fact that there are people around you that God has brought into your path for a reason, and they may not all be Japanese, they may not all be American. Even in Japan, we had Filipinos and Americans and Australians, and, we had different people. Well, that's true wherever you go. God will bring in the people that he wants you to serve and that he wants you to reach out to. So if we grasp that, that really is a life-changing and focusing truth that can help. So good. That's a good lesson. As you look forward to college, what are you hoping to get out of the experience?
Well, I guess one thing, it's not super spiritual, but I'm really excited to be with a bunch of people that are sort of similar to my own age, because growing up, we never had a whole lot of, friends that were our age. Like, I had friends with a lot of adults, and because I was homeschooled, so I was home a lot, so I'm looking forward to being out and with people a lot more. I'm also really looking forward to, I sat through one of the counseling classes while my brother was on a tour of the campus, and I just really enjoyed it and was like, I'd love to take this class. And so I'm really excited for a lot of the just counseling classes and Bible classes that I'll be able to take and hopefully learn a lot. Mm-hmm. Get some song ideas.
Yeah, I'm sure if you are paying attention, there are all kind of ideas, but there are a lot of lessons that you'll learn, things that you can apply right away and later. And really, I think a big part of college is, we were talking about this with Cameron, the people that you meet. I told him I don't remember any classes that I took my freshman year of college. But I remember some of the people. I still know some of the people that I met my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
I don't remember very much from starting my master's degree, but I remember some of the people, and I remember some of the things that I learned that helped me along the way. So I think the relationships that begin in college, some of those will be valuable to you, and you certainly will learn new life lessons. So
yeah.
So what are you hoping to do with your music going forward?
Kind of while I'm in college, just practice songwriting, write more songs, put out more albums, just to encourage people and kind of share what I'm learning just by myself. My voice is not very loud, but through music it can be a little louder anyway. A few more people can hear it, and not that I don't have that much to say, but God does, and as I learn things, it can be really cool to just share, hey, I went through this and this is what I learned, but you don't have to sit through a speech. Like, this is what I learned. It's like, it's a song, so it's interesting. And then hopefully take what I learned doing it in English and then try to start writing songs in Japanese and do the same thing in a different country.
That's one of the neat things about music. It's a way of sharing your testimony. And it's just, you're expressing your walk with God in a different form. And for some people, that's much more approachable. And some kinds of lessons are definitely like encouragement or motivation. Music does some of those things really, really well, or comfort. Some people just hear a song and it's like, oh, it's just so refreshing or so comforting to think of this truth.
Yeah.
So those are important part of the creative arts in general, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like in church on Sunday, pastor was talking about the pastor's job isn't to teach you things necessarily. Sometimes it's just to remind you of things. And I think that's what my songs are attempting to do. Is, hey, have you thought about this recently? Maybe you should think about this.
Yeah, don't forget this.
Yeah.
And lots of time, put to music, it's easier to remember some of those truths.
Yeah.
We remember a lot of the songs that we don't remember learning them, but we know them very well now. And there are a lot of bad examples where people remember commercials from their childhood.
Yeah.
And you're like, why do I still know this? But if we can fill our mind with the music and the things that point us toward God, then those are great things to remember, and we're always going to have those if you spend that time listening and thinking about what they're saying. So you now have been a serious-ish songwriter for going on 3 years. So what have you learned in that time?
Doing anything that has to be motivated by yourself is very difficult. That's the biggest thing. And I still haven't got the hang of it, obviously. And it's can be fulfilling if you can actually do it. Mm-hmm. It's really fun because you can look out and see, hey, I've got this many albums out, and you can watch how each one gets a little better. I still cringe at the early ones, and some of the newer ones feel like, I could have done that better. But like you just keep growing. Mm-hmm. And it's like a physical sign of growth. It's not something like growth is really hard to measure just looking back. But when you have something you can actually look at and go, hey, I remember when I wrote this, and mm-hmm. I've definitely grown since then.
And I think it's cool, the process from 2020 when you really started doing this. Okay, the situation in 2020 was very different than it is now. So there was not a lot of public things. There weren't any concerts. Even our family band, everything shut down. And then now, I've been able to go to 2 of your concerts to get started. But it's just neat to see people's response. It's like, hey, you wrote a song that touched somebody.
Yeah.
And to me, that's really cool. It's a gift to be able to share something in a way that really resonates with people. And I think that's part of what I think is cool, is to see a song that you wrote that I think, hey, this was really good, and to see other people hear it and it really resonates with them.
Yeah, I've made a couple people cry.
Yeah. So that's okay. It's okay to make people cry. But yeah, thanks for sharing some. Definitely looking forward to seeing what God does with your music. So where can people find your music if they'd like to hear more of it?
Well, I have a website, chloejanelle.com. You can also look up my name, Chloe Janelle, and it'll come up on like YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, SoundCloud. I mean, just out everywhere.
If you put Chloe Janelle Music on Google, you'll have some options too.
Yeah. Or Chloe Janelle, and then one of my song titles after that.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. Keep running.